To the Board of Supervisors, I'd like you all to stand and please join us in the pledge. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to move to the consent agenda. Does any member of the board, staff, or public have a consent agenda item they would like pulled? May I have a motion, please?
Move the consent calendar, please.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes on a 5-0. Thank you. We're in recess till 9:10. Reconvene the meeting, please. A closed session was held last week pursuant to Government Code 54956.9, a conference with labor negotiators, SEIU, DSA, CCPSEA, with the Director of Human Resources, and no action was taken. I'd like to move to item 7, public comments. If anyone has any item they'd like to discuss, 5 minutes per person, and on a topic that the board has control. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Gary Caldwell, Valley Springs. You may recall several months ago I addressed the board regarding the jail project and the request that you add solar improvements to the project. And at that time, as I recall, and I may be hazy on the numbers, the estimate by your consultant was $58 million for the project. And I just read in the newspaper, the local newspaper here, that it's now apparently down to $44 million. Now, I could be off a little bit on the numbers. But one of the things also in that article, it said that another $4.5 million could be trimmed by the elimination of non-essential items such as solar improvements. And of course, I think that's fiscal folly to do that. As I said before, eventually, and of course the time frame varies dependent upon how much you pay for your electricity, and I realize that the county pays less than the normal consumer does. It just stretches the repayment time out. But there will be a time when the installation of solar photovoltaic panels will be paid for. And everything after that is money in your pocket with respect to paying utility bills. This is the only feature of the jail that will pay for itself over time, eventually. The only feature of the jail that will pay for itself in savings on your electricity bills. And then after that, you won't have to pay any electricity. And besides that, one of the other things, and I mentioned this too, is that you don't have to buy the generators. You know, when the power lines go down up country, when it snows and the wind blows or lightning hits them or whatever, you got to go to generators. Well, you make a big investment in generators. If you don't have to buy generators because you have batteries that are providing your power at the jail, then you save some money there too, not to mention the maintenance on those generators, not just the initial cost. But in addition, and I'm sure the board is aware of this, that there are companies out there who are doing this, making these kinds of improvements. And one of the ones I wanted to point out, I think I mentioned it to Supervisor Thomas already, Chevron Oil, one of the largest refiners of petroleum in the world, has put photovoltaic panels on their headquarters in San Ramon. Now, they if anybody, would want to spend a lot of money on petroleum since they make some profit off of it, but they put photovoltaic panels that provide their energy in their corporate offices in San Ramon. In addition, the San Jose Airport has expanded its parking area with canopied parking spots where you have photovoltaic panels on top of them. Caltrans, District 10 in Stockton, has parking with panels on top of the canopies for parking, photovoltaic panels. And also, you see them along the freeway now. They're putting them on the walls of freeways to absorb the solar energy and producing electricity from them. And I just want to emphasize that here's an opportunity for the board to show its foresight and leadership. You can purchase state-of-the-art technology here because this will last. The building, let's hope, the present building you've been utilizing for almost 50 years now as a jail facility, let's hope this one will last equally as long, especially since you've had the foresight to add extra beds to the jail for expansion. So it's going to last a long time, well past any repayment period. You're going to be using that jail. So if you want to save the taxpayers some money and you want to appear like leaders, this is what you have to do. You have to make those solar improvements so that you can show that you are leaders and not worried just about next Tuesday, as some people will allege that you only look toward, as far as the future, toward next Tuesday. So here's an opportunity to demonstrate that you're actually going to save the taxpayers some money. It might be 15 years, it might be 20 years, but there will be a point in time where you will get your electricity to operate that jail free. And I want to emphasize that you not eliminate any solar improvements to the jail, and if you haven't installed them or made them part of the plans, then I wish you would. Thank you.
Mr. Culp, that is the difference between reading the newspaper and reading the staff report.
The 44 million was wrong?
The newspaper didn't quite complete the whole story. There were several items for the board to consider at some point in time if the bids come in low. That was one of them. The solar panels are part of the design.
They are part of the design?
Yes, they are.
Oh, good.
And if we have to cut things, that could be one of the things if the bids come in low. So you might want to get a copy from Carol of the staff report. It goes into that, or the slide presentation, into some detail.
Let me ask you...
No, you've used your time. It's not.
Oh.
No, go ahead, Gary. Go ahead.
Well, you said that that they're included at the moment in the design.
Correct.
And I saw Supervisor Walensky nod his head. Now, you said if the bids come in low, how low or how high do they have to come in before you, in the wisdom of the board, eliminate the solar improvements?
There's several permutations of that, and at the moment we're 15% under bid, estimated for what is happening in the marketplace now.
Was the
And that
44
could
million?
be changed. It could go up. We won't know till we go out to bid. But the project team gave us the different options and different amounts. And if the bids come in low, we will have a solar system.
I'd like to ask Mr. Caldwell a question.
I don't see it. I disagree as it being with what the paper said. I don't know what the staff report said. 'Cause
Well,
didn't
then I
read it.
recommend that we get you a copy of that, and then you can see what it was that was discussed in full, including the solar system.
But in my opinion, certainly not a non-essential item since it pays for itself
We
eventually.
understand that. We're
Thank you.
all
Just,
supportive.
if I could ask Mr. Caldwell
Yes, sir.
a question. Gary, you've given us some excellent suggestions here, but if it comes down to when the bids come in, if we have to cut something, just shooting from the hip, would you prefer that we eliminate the extra beds or the solar system? Because they're about of equal value.
Would I? I'm sorry, you said the extra bids?
Wow.
The beds.
Oh, beds.
Beds, yeah. The
Oh.
80 extra beds versus the solar.
Well,
Well,
that's a
80.
board decision.
Well, I'm just, he's giving us recommendations. I'd like to see his recommendation on this particular thing. So.
Maybe he can give it to us after he reads the staff report.
Yeah, that's a good idea. The other thing, along with that, I'm pushing my 5 minutes, I know, but the other thing is that with a canopied parking area, with the panels on top of the canopied parking area, you would be able to park the sheriff's vehicles, which have sophisticated technical computer equipment inside of those vehicles. You could take them out of the 120-degree temperatures, maybe, and put them in 85-degree temperatures if they're parked under a canopy that has the panels on them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. Is there anyone else?
Good morning, Chair, supervisors who represent our great county of Calaveras. My name is Renee Barrett, and I live in Arnold. Thank you so much for allowing me to come before you to express my appreciation for the in-home supportive services program. A little over 3 years ago, I had to make the decision of continuing my full-time employment in Calaveras County or qualify for in-home supportive services for which my husband so severely needed. Needless to say, I did resign from my employment so that I could stay at home with my husband, where he could live with dignity and care in our modest home in Arnold. The in-home supportive services has allowed us to do just that. My husband is also thankful for this program and how the county, state, and federal monies allow us to stay in our home with care and dignity instead of an outside care facility for him. I would also like to say that as a provider that I would like to receive wages and benefits of other health home care workers of the state of California. Thank you, Marita Calloway, for your sincere appreciation for the in-home supportive services program, and I would appreciate your continued support of the program. Mr. Steve Walensky, thank you so much for your relentless and sincere support of the in-home program, as well as the creation of the public authority, not just in this county, but in the state of California. In closing, I would like to ask all of the supervisors of this great county of Calaveras to continue to allow consumers and providers to live with care and dignity through the in-home supportive services program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Barrett. Is there anyone else who'd like an item not on the agenda that the board has considered open?
Good morning. My name's Bonnie Newman. I'm from Double Springs. Thank you, Renee, for saying so sweetly what I cannot express. I'm committed to the in-home supportive service program. I'm committed to my client, and I'm committed to doing everything that I can to see that this program continues. You know that I have spoken many times to you about IHSS, the public authority, and I've even spoken to you about the struggle I have with my own mother in trying to provide care for her. Today I have something different. I'd like to play a song to you that honors my mother, born in 1923, a veteran of World War II, Women's Army Corps, a single mother who raised a bratty kid by herself without a father, who had 3 beauty shops that employed dozens of women over the years, who will be leaving us in 2010. And in order to honor her, it brings to mind my childhood, and I think this may remind you of your childhood. And if I need technical assistance, forgive me. Thank you for your
Thank you, Ms.
indulgence.
Newman. Is there anyone else?
Joe Kelly, more on AB 900 funding. A pooled money investment account loan from the Pooled Money Investment Board is the intended source of interim financing for the state's portion of the project, but we are also exploring all possible options. That was sent to me by that person from CDCR. If the funding doesn't proceed through the original process, interim financing with long-term financing, will it have to go back to the voters for approval due to the bill of goods that was presented to the voters and later through public discussion and resolution? Item 2. Last week, while discussing a Sustainable Communities grant, was being discussed and accepted with a 4-to-1 vote. And thank you, Supervisor Tofinelli, for your vote of no. Thank you. The Senate Banking Committee passed the Livable Communities Act. The bill creates a $4 billion in neighborhood planning grants for sustainable living projects and a new federal office to oversee them. In the program, it is the program's aim to impose a Washington-based central planning model on localities across the country. The Senate version, written by outgoing Chairman Senator Chris Dodd, the Livable Communities Act would designate $4 billion to aid local governments in planning high-density, walkable neighborhoods. Premised on helping local governments to combat suburban sprawl and traffic congestion, the bill sets up 2 separate grant programs. One, known as comprehensive planning grants, would go to cities and counties to assist them in carrying out such plans as the following. 1, coordinate land use, housing, transportation, and infrastructure planning processes across jurisdictions and agencies. And going to number 3, conduct and update housing, infrastructure, transportation, energy, and environmental assessments to determine regional needs and promote sustainable development. And 5, to implement local zoning and other code changes necessary to implement a comprehensive regional plan and promote sustainable developments. The second grant type, Sustainable Challenge Grants, funds local efforts to 1, promote integrated transportation, housing, energy, and economic development activities carried out across policy and government jurisdictions. 2, promote sustainable and local location-efficient development. And 3, implement projects identified in comprehensive regional plans. The legislation is designed to prod local communities towards high-density public transit-oriented neighborhoods and concentrate large numbers of people into small geographic areas connected by train and bus networks. These high-density neighborhoods would be combined with high-density commercial districts and, in theory, would reduce the need for daily driving and commuting. In describing the livable communities, Dodd has said that, quote, with sustainable development, our communities will cut traffic congestion, reduce greenhouse gas emissions and gasoline consumption, protect rural areas and green spaces, revitalize existing main streets and urban centers, and create more affordable housing, unquote. Dodd also said that his bill would try to entice localities to move away from this model of suburban home and land ownership and toward a centrally planned model where local government officials make housing, business, and transportation decisions that steer residential and economic growth into designated high-density areas. The legislation provides for planning and capital grants so that regions can coordinate transportation, housing, and community development policies to reduce traffic congestion, generate economic growth, create and preserve affordable housing, and meet environmental and energy goals. Dodd told CNSNnews.com that the grants were available for the taking, saying that the program is voluntary and intended to let localities build planned communities without having to worry about changing economic conditions. The question is, are the resources and expertise available for people then to do that kind of planning? That's a strange one. Some communities may be able to do it. This is not a mandate on anybody. In addition to administering the grants, the government agency would not be making planning decisions for city and county governments. Instead, he said that the office, in addition to administering the grants, would function as a resource for localities seeking to do the planning themselves. We're not going to apply standards. We're going to stay far away from that. We're not going to sit here and set development standards, because you've got to let the flexibility, rural communities, suburban, large urban areas, they need to decide themselves what they want to do in terms of how they link together housing, transit, and energy needs in their communities.
You have 30 seconds left.
Thank you. I'll step into smart growth. Late 80s, early 90s, smart growth was promoted by B of A's article on sprawl. Last Sunday, I watched 2 B of A commercials promoting sprawl. Watch the commercial in its entirety to view the expansion of sprawl promoted by B of A now. Isn't it interesting how it turns on you? All about money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Are there any other comments? Not on the agenda. Okay, I want to move to...
Sorry about that. I thought there was someone else. My name's Terry Baker, and I'm here again about the illegal agricultural cock ranch operation out in Railroad Flat that has been ordered by Judge Moini to abate the noise 3 years ago, and it still continues. So today I would like to, this is a response to our agriculture commissioner and the Board of Supervisors for the letter and the questions that we asked. Sorry. These are yours. There's 2 of them there.
Mr. Baker, is this in response to the agricultural group that came out?
No.
Okay.
We haven't responded to that yet, but we are going to respond to that.
I just want to clarify.
This
Thank
is
you.
to the 34 questions that we had sent prior to that, which it took 2 months for us to get our response, and that report had actually already been given to you before we even got our questions to our answers.
Thank you.
But this will explain all of that. This is goes with it. Make sure you already got it.
Okay.
So anyway, the first one you have here is the 3-page letter, goes over that, and the 8-page letter explains in detail. Then we also have 2 more complaints and arrests by private citizens that we are going to be place Roberta Carolyn under arrest for today, and it is for Penal Code Section 370, and it is a public nuisance. Anything which is injurious to health or offensive to the senses so as to interfere with the comfortable enjoyment of life or property by any considerable number of persons is a public nuisance. Mrs. Redmond has been convicted of this 3 years ago, and she is still in the violation of that. We would like her cited or arrested for that. Also, we are having her arrested under a private citizen for maintaining a public nuisance after it has been declared a public nuisance. So these are 3 different complaints. Last week it was 610-110, which is a nuisance animal. Now we have the public nuisance and maintaining a nuisance. And it states that the state of California Penal Code Section 372, maintaining a nuisance. Every person who maintains or commits any public nuisance for the punishment for which is not otherwise prescribed, or who willfully omits to perform any legal duty relating to the removal of the nuisance is guilty of a misdemeanor. And we are going to have her cited for that also. And each one of these citations, we have 4 people individually citing her, so that's a total of 12 individual citizens' arrests against Carolyn Redmond, and we hope that should be enough to get her cited. And everything else I think I'm going to go over with in the noise ordinance session. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Is there anyone else? Okay. I'd like to move to item 8. This is continued from July 27th.
Yes, Madam Chair, this, as you recall, last session, or 2 weeks ago, there was this item that was an issue down in my district where there were some code violations. I spoke with the owner, and he assured me that he was going to get in compliance by taking out a building permit. And talking with our building department this morning, code compliance, he has not made good on his promise to do anything. So, Todd, could you come up and verify that for me, please?
Yeah, Todd Barr with Code Compliance. There have been no building permits issued on the property, and the violations still exist.
Okay. Are there any other questions on this? Okay. In view of the fact that Mr. Inslee had told me that he was going to get in compliance and he has not, I have no choice but to make a motion that we enforce this code compliance administrative citation and collect the fees as presented in the previous agenda packet.
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments from the board? Any questions or comments from the public on this item?
I don't take pleasure in any way in making this motion, but we have to be consistent in our actions here. So,
okay.
Thank you.
I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes on a 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Barr. Thank you, Mr. Donald. I'd like to move to item number 9, a minute order approving the second amendment to the agreement for the airport T-hangar design. Does the airport manager want to make any comments on this?
Thank you. I'm Kathy Zankanel, airport manager. The short answer to that is that Mead & Hunt have been our airport consultant of record for all the years I've been managing the airport, which is 21 of them. They actually were the consultants when we built the airport originally. So they're very professional and knowledgeable on all airport stuff, is why we've always stuck with them. This project, to get the overview picture, started back in 03 and 04 when we did the access road behind the airport and the design for new hangars, which was why we could do the road, the design for the new hangars. And Emerson was the contractor on that. Mead & Hunt were the consultants. In 5, 6, and 7, we used the entitlement money that we get from the government if we have the right safety project to recondition the whole ramp area and build a hangar pad. Mead & Hunt were the consultants on that. Granite was the contractor. We since then, of course, we have the hangar pad, so to build hangars. This is the last expansion we'll have at the airport because there's no more room for hangars. I mean, there's a few other things we can do with buildings, but as far as this big a project, this is, I personally am not a consultant fan. I have never thought that. I always thought consultants were the people that told you what you wanted to hear. And so the last time we did hangars was in 2000. And we didn't use a consultant. We just got the bids out. And, I can do that, you know. And at the end of the whole thing, I was very disappointed in what we got. And it was my own fault because I wasn't as knowledgeable as I thought I was. Therefore, when we came to the point of doing these hangars, our final 22 hangars, the nice long building, I wanted it done right. And so we went back to the consultant issue, and Mead and Hunt have been our consultants on all of these projects, and they've built consulted on building numerous hangars over the states and that sort of thing. So they again, and because it's been so long ago, I don't remember how we came up with that, but they were our consultants for all of these things, and now they did the bidding for the first hangars. We were all ready to go out to bid, and we came up with a water project. When I went and talked to Jeff over at a building, he said, whoa, you have a problem out there, you don't have water. So Rourke Weber here in town and his people helped me come up with this, and Jeff and his people helped me come up with a solution for that. We've got the water out there we need for the hangars. The water project, and it's standing water, and that's all been done because I had the money in the airport fund to make that happen. Now, because it was a couple of years, now we have to go out to bid again to rebid the project because we have to. The original bid did not call for firewalls and all the things that you use so that you don't have to have sprinklers because you don't have water to put in the sprinklers. Anyway, it has to be rebid. Mead and Hunt did the original bid. I asked them to rebid it for us, which they did. And we got the bids in. Praise the Lord. They came back much lower than the engineers thought they would. Therefore, we're on a roll. Because Mead and Hunt have done everything up to this point, now you have to have somebody, there's a certain amount of things that you have to do because we're going through the FAA because I can get some entitlement money that I have in their funds that doesn't have to be paid back. But they come up with more stringent rules about how the building is done and all that. And again, I chose to use the consultant that has been with us all this time through all of these projects, and they went ahead and agreed to be the consultant for the building of the hangars. Rourke Weber here in town will do the testing and that sort of thing. But this money is all accounted for with the loan I'll get from the state. The entitlement money, that just is for your information, the entitlement money we get from the FAA is $150,000 a year if we have a project that's safety-minded and that sort of thing. And if we don't, then we can use it for these hangars. That comes from aviation fuel taxes. It does not come out of the state or the federal's general fund at all. It's all FAA or aviation money. The loan money that I have been talking to the bean counter up at Sacramento, and she assured me that we could get $800,000, and I'm not going to need that much now, thanks to our the economic situation. I'm hoping that I can do this and take care of all these little extras that we have in here for about $500,000. You approved the loan application that I made that was much higher than that, but I don't think we're going to need that much. So that's the story on why we are using Mead and Hunt, and if I didn't do that the proper way, don't make me stop and start over.
Are there any questions or comments from the board? Are there any questions or comments from the public on this item? Kathy? Mr. Kelly has a question.
My name is Joe Kelly. Thank you. The new sprinklers, the new hangars will be firewalled and sprinklered?
No.
No. Okay.
They'll be firewall.
Firewalled.
That brings the area down.
Are the old hangars firewalled?
No.
Is there a prospect of these hangars in the future being sprinklered under international building codes and what will be coming down in respects to the housing issues? Will that affect that type of facility? No? Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Yes, Kathy, just a minute.
First of all, I want to say to Kathy, we have friends that fly into the airport, and we think you do a wonderful job. Thank you. My question is addressed.
Could you introduce yourself, please, for the record?
Please excuse me. I'm Billy MacArthur. Thank you. Short people have a lot. My question is actually, I did look quickly at the board packet that was produced online, and as I read through this particular item, and I may have read it incorrectly, am I to assume that this consulting company is from Idaho?
No, Santa Rosa.
Thank you. That answers my question.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments?
I do have one observation that's been it's been brought to my attention that yes, we do have this construction project that is scheduled to start soon out there, but this board has frequently said that our objective is to try to have these construction projects executed by Calaveras County contractors. And I haven't checked into all the facts on this, but it's my understanding that all of the contracting workforce will be coming from Amador to build this, and the contractor has specifically stated that he will not be using our local transit mix company for the concrete. That really strikes me as being odd.
That is a good point, Russ, and I probably I'm an advocate for local. I'm a strong advocate for local. Those that have known me for years know that I wouldn't even go out of the county. If I didn't buy in the county, I didn't need it. And I finally grew up enough to realize that that's kind of unrealistic too. We have other things that we have to look at besides the low bid was the main thing. Could it be done at the bid that came in was substantially lower than the only person in Calaveras County was from Angels Camp. It was quite a bit less than him. Could it be done? Was all of his information correct? And that's what the consultant does. They go back and check all of their insurance and all of that stuff. As far as I'm concerned, local to me, now that I'm a grown person, is the foothills. I did not want to see it go to Granite or Tykert or one of those big companies down in the valley, and it didn't. It went to what I call a local contractor. Wayne Vinciguerra built the administration building at this airport when it was originally built. So he's been around a long time, and he likes to keep working in the local area. That's all I can say about that. I feel he's local because how many of us shop just in Calaveras County? You know, we go to Jackson, we go to Sonora, and to me, The foothills are the local area.
I'm sympathetic to that definition of local. I think that's reasonable. But in regards to the supplying of the transit mix that will be required, and that was a huge thing.
I have a friend out at the airport who used to work for George Reed, and he advised them of what the situation was at the airport, how much they were going to need and all that. They've got to be competitive, Russ. You know, you can't expect them to use a Calaveras company that can't be competitive.
The explanation that I heard about this is it had nothing to do with the price differential. In fact, George Reed was lower in the price. There was a personality conflict that is going to result in transit mix trucks coming from Amador Transit, cross down out of the river and everything, and up to our project, going right past the front door of a strong employer in this county. And I'm not sure that there's anything we can do about it, but
there isn't, and I agree. I agree with you completely. I have people that probably complain to Amador or to Columbia because they fly over to my airport and buy gas. I sell an awful lot of gas to locals from the accounting areas because I keep my gas prices down. Now, is that wrong for the Columbia or the Jackson people to come and buy it from me because I'm not in their county? It may be wrong in your mind, but it's not wrong in their mind because it's their pocketbooks.
Well, there's definitely a strong potential for those loads to be hot when they get here. So I would hope that our inspection
we'll have the proper inspection, so you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Are there any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move this item, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I'll second the item.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes on a 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Centinella.
Thank you for your support again.
Okay, I'd like to move to item 10. Russ, do you want to start?
Yes, I would like to start. I would like to tell the board about a meeting that I had the pleasure of attending up at Bear Valley last Wednesday. As you know, I'm the board's representative on the Sierra Nevada Economic Development Council. This meeting was attended by some new folks from Mariposa County. We actually entertained a motion to have Mariposa join as a participant in this regional or local economic development council. But the thing that happened there that really got my attention is that in talking over lunch with the representatives from Mariposa County, it was brought to my attention that fully 50% of the Mariposa County General Fund is provided by the TOT tax within that county. They have the benefit, of course, of having Yosemite as an attraction in that county, but I would submit to you that we have no less a significant attractor in this county, namely the big trees and the Moaning Caverns and the zip lines and all of the wonderful things that people gravitate toward Calaveras County. And I just want to throw it out to you once again that we are missing the boat by not increasing our transient occupancy tax from 6% to 10%. There was another intriguing fact that was brought up there was that the providers of hospitality in the Mariposa area formed a hospitality district, essentially, and they, it was not subject to a vote of the people, or the Board of Supervisors weren't necessarily involved in that decision, but the hospitality providers tax themselves 1%, so they have a countywide 10%, but within this very largely defined district, all of the facilities that provide lodging tax themselves an additional 1% that provides several $1 million annually to fund their promotion efforts. And it's for those of you who may have taken marketing classes at one time or another, the idea and the theory is that the money that you spend on promotion comes back to you 3 or 4 or 5 or 10-fold in the resultant sales and taxes that you collect. So, at the risk of being overly wordy on this, I just think that we have an obligation to think outside the box. I mean, this is a box that's been open and closed a number of times, and I know that Supervisor Tryon has expressed his lack of enthusiasm for this increase in the past, but I would encourage you to call down to Mariposa County Supervisor Tryon and see how it's working for them, and see if we can't persuade you to take a more sympathetic view of this proposal as we go forward. Okay, that might...
Do I get to respond to that?
Yeah.
It's always nice when government gets together in a economic development forum, and their solution is to think outside the box to increase taxes. Is their idea of economic development to expand the size of government. And you talk about they're forming their own assessment districts so that privately they can advertise for their county. Well, we give them 2% of ours, which you guys keep wanting to take away, and that's probably the most effective 2% we have out there for economic development, because the Visitors Bureau does such a, in my opinion, outstanding job in promoting the county. So, I don't think the reason we're lacking economic development is that taxes are too low. That doesn't make any sense at all to me, quite frankly.
Well, you and I are very much in agreement on the benefits of the Visitors Bureau and the work that they do. I think that they do an outstanding job, and that's precisely why I would like to have us consider raising the amount of money that we could give them, and the result would be a more robust, to use that word, tax revenue stream. And this is not the proper place to discuss philosophy, I guess. I just wanted to share a very remarkable reality that we have in a county nearby, that everybody has smiles on their faces, including the people that are paying the taxes. So there. As far as meetings for the remainder of this week, I will be going to an event at the Calaveras High School at 4 o'clock on Thursday evening. It's an Empty Bowls project that is intended to raise funds for the former HRC, the Resource Connection, is doing some good work in this county, or continuing to do good work, and I think Supervisor Toffanelli will also be there with us. There is a Friends of the Library function on Friday evening. It's called the Secret Garden. This is an event that will be over here in San Andreas for the purpose of raising funds for the Friends of the Library to support the Calaveras County Library effort. So that concludes my report.
Mr. Toffanelli.
Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., I'll be in Copper at Copper Firehouse for a Mountain Valley Emergency Services meeting, a regular board meeting. From 7 to 9 p.m. tomorrow night, I'll be at the Vets Hall in Valley Springs for a Cosgrove Creek update and a Valley Springs Community Plan meeting. Russ, I think you're scheduled to be there also. You didn't bring it up. You have that on your calendar?
Oh, that's for the Cosgrove Creek and
with the Corps of Engineers?
That's correct. I will be there.
For the feasibility study?
Yes.
Public update. Thursday, I have on my schedule being in Sutter Creek for American Legion Ambulance Annual Meeting. Also, on Thursday at 4 p.m., I will be at Calaveras High School for this Empty Bowls project. I'll be trying to make a decent bowl. I guess we're supposed to make a bowl out of clay and fire it and glaze it and paint it, and then they're going to auction it off. So hopefully it resembles a bowl when I get done, because I've never made a bowl before, but I told them that I would partake in it. Again, that is for HRC and also for the food banks at the local churches in Valley Springs. It's a benefit for them. I will also be Friday evening at Friends of the Library's Secret Garden Party at 6 p.m. here in San Andreas, 374 St. Charles Place. And I don't know if you can zoom in on that for everybody to see, but it is for Friends of the Library benefits for our local libraries to increase the funds given for book purchasing here in Calaveras County. Tickets are $25 per person, and there'll be a tri-tip dinner and a silent auction, and also 2 bands will be playing there, giving concerts. So hope to see you there.
Supervisor, I'm sorry.
That concludes my week.
Supervisor Walensky.
Yesterday was a banner day in District 2. We actually had 2 crews from CHIP's organization joined by 22 hot shots from Alaska to get out on BLM land for the first time in nearly 50 years and clean up the mess that doing nothing created. This is part of a community wildfire protection plan, and in this next week and a couple of days, we hope to accomplish 70 acres of shaded fuel break. This will be on ridges and in areas that are high fuel buildup, again, BLM land, and threatening places where people live. So that's pretty exciting to have local people going back to work, and even more exciting to be joined by the Alaskan hotshots, who are some of the best at this work in the country, helping to train, teach, and work with our folks. Other than that, I have nothing to report.
Alaskan hotshots, is that Sarah Palin is going to be showing up?
Two different kinds of hot, I think.
All right, gentlemen. Hey, in this conversation, and no, Mr. Tryon, you cannot make a comment, but you can tell us about what it is you have scheduled this week.
I have nothing to bring before the board.
You're thinking about it.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention the Habitat, Hoedown for Habitat on Saturday evening, which a number of people will be coming, and I hope everybody in the audience will consider going to that. It's Habitat's biggest benefit each year.
That's at Murphy's Park in Murphy's.
Saturday evening.
Thank you for bringing that up.
On Thursday, I have Ag and Natural Resources Subcommittee meeting for California State Association of Counties, and I have Administration of Justice Committee, and I will get back to that in a moment. I'm going to try and do Friends of the Library. I will be at Arnold Rim Trail. I would like very much if the supervisors would like to come out and help continue to build the Arnold Rim Trail. I will be on Saturday, 8:30. U.S. Forest Service will provide tools, or you can bring your own. I'm going to Saturday night, the retirement dinner for Lockmere in Stockton, and I have few things I want